Hello there. How is it? I'm going to show you what you're going to receive when you buy a Scorpio. And for this we start with the installed. Let me focus here. With the installed saber. So if you get it installed with Golden Harvest, you'll receive the box. And in this box, you get a nice sticker that you can put wherever you like. And you get your hilt. So in this hilt package comes usually a little retention screw. I already installed it on this hilt because it's installed, and I'm gonna test every saber that I install and ship out. So this one is already installed for you, so no need to do this. But just so you know what's in this little bag, if you buy a DIY kit, there's a retention screw M4. And next, pretty straightforward, we get to the hilt. Here we are. So I freshly installed this one. This is going out to a customer. And if you're familiar with a Vandari, as Tony would say, then these two sabers are very similar in the way they function. So they have a core running in the inside of the hilt, and you have a ignition button. Vandari has one, and Scorpio has two. So you have an ignition and you have an auxiliary, and they basically function the same way. So you would, on the Vandari, you would take the pommel off and then you can slide out the core. Same thing here with a Scorpio. The only difference is that you don't take the whole grip section off. You only remove the pommel, unlike Vandari where you would take the whole grip off. So here, I can show you. You unscrew the whole grip section, and that gets you access to the core and battery, although for the battery to remove it you have to take the core out, so you would unscrew this button. But you're here for the Scorpio, so let's go to the new hilt. And what you would do here is, as I just said, you wouldn't unscrew this section. You can unscrew the grip, including the pommel, but when there's a core inside, it is advised not to do so, because the speak in the back here is bigger than the diameter of this grip section. So if you would unscrew this, you would basically pop off the speaker off the core and then eventually snap the cables. So you get the hilt with your core. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a core inside here. Let's see. Yes, this one still has power. And now let's say I'm done, and I want to basically, you unscrew the pommel, and this will basically reveal your speaker. And next you unscrew this button. It's pretty easy because it has a knurling on it, so you can grip it easily. And now the core is free and basically can come out rather easily. Core looks like this. Let me get my trusty little stand. So, as you can see, still under power. We have a kill switch down here, where you can just flick it to the other side to disengage, and then the power to the board is cut from the battery. At the back, you have the large 27mm speaker. Under this, you will find the soundboard. So this is a cover covering the Golden Harvest version 4. And basically, you can just pop this off. It's a little bit of force, gentle of course. You can take this away. And here you can see your SD card. You can see the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, whatnot antenna and chip here. And to take out this card, you can press this, maybe take a pair of tweezers. Once they're here, they can remove the SD card a little bit easier than with your fingers. You can fiddle it out with just your fingers, hands, it's okay, but it's easier if you have something to really take it properly. Same putting it back in. If you have a pair of tweezers, you can position the card a lot easier and then just push it in. With your hands, it's going to be a little bit more fiddling. And you can see here, there's a little sort of latch that engages with the core. So you would put the latch first in like this, line at the back, and then you can press down. It's nicely secure. Here we have the battery compartment. You just pull it off. It's held by little geometries on the side of the 3D print that engage with the core. And then you can see your battery here. This is a max 15 amp continuous discharge current battery. So I always recommend these because they can put out up to 15 amps. And the NeoPixel blades that I use, they're happy if they get a lot of current. So you would want to use a powerful one. Some people in the past came back to me saying that something is broken, their NeoPixel blades don't work or whatnot. And in the end, it just turned out that their battery they were using was way underpowered for the blade that they wanted to use. So that was kind of fun troubleshooting that. So I recommend a trusty battery like a KeyPower branded one. Let me see if you can see this a bit better. 18650, and the 3000 milliamps here is obviously the capacity. Basically, the higher this number, the longer your Saber will run. But in any case, you can obviously remove this battery. So you can just, on a convention or wherever, you can just pop it out, pop a new battery back in. You're ready to go. Otherwise, not much to see down here. You see some cables running along. The red one here and the black one. Sometimes these can pop a little bit out of their track down there. It's not a big deal. If they do it a lot, just press them back in with a pair of tweezers again. It's easy, but usually they stay in their place. It's just because the core is so thin that there's physically not much space left in the chassis to give space to these cables. So that's why it's sort of solved this way. Actually, compared to other hilts that I've seen before, this is quite a lot of space, so I'm still happy. And also these are 22 gauge cables, so they can deliver lots of current, unlike if you go with smaller ones. I go with bigger ones, usually it's just safer. And up here, you can see auxiliary switches and the main switch ignition. They're momentary switches, not much to say to those. They're just placed here. They engage nicely with a switch box. There's a red button here that you can see, and obviously the ignition. And you can see this circular cutout. Hope you can pick this up on camera. Circular cutout is basically where the button interlocks, sort of. Let me see if I can see this a little bit. It interlocks like this. So this secures the chassis within the hilt. So there's no worries of it flying around, turning, or not aligning anymore with the buttons. It's always exactly where it has to be. And at the very front, I use a stock NeoPixel. I hope I didn't butcher the name, but I've been using these for years, since 2020. They're really good. This is a version 4, and I love them. They're really good, easy to install. And a big change I made in this newest chassis design is I implemented a sort of screw-on design. So this is a cap that I'm not going to do it now because the hilt is fully installed and ready to go. But this is basically unscrewable. You can take this off, and underneath you can take out the NeoPixel adapter. You can pop it out and do any repairs, or if anything ever breaks, like the pins, or let's say this thing gets shorted for some reason and might be dead, you can replace this rather easily. In the past, they used to be more hardwired in here, so you don't really have a chance of repairing anything. Here you can take it out. Pretty simple. At the back here, there's a lid, a sort of lid or hatch or whatnot. And it gives you access to the cables that run basically from the NeoPixel, from the buttons, from this battery contact. They run basically down here. You can access them here. Sometimes I use the space a little bit to clump up wires that are in excess. So you can still take out components and repair them. So you would get access here. You would open this. But anyway, if you have no issues, no need to ever look at this. This is just me explaining to you what you're looking at, in case you're wondering. At the back, pretty simple. The speaker isn't glued in or anything. It is just held in place basically press fit. The back, you see me using this tape. It's electrical tape, just to make sure that these contacts here that are bare basically don't touch the hilt and make it short. I've had this situation before in the past where this can happen. So just to avoid this, this is here, and then you have the 2 wires basically going from the speaker to the soundboard. But basically no need for you to ever remove the speaker. In older Saber designs, for example, Vandari at the back, you had to take the speaker off to get access to the, for example, Profi USB port or the SD card. Yeah, in this version, you don't have to do any of this. Since Golden Harvest version 4 only uses a SD card, you don't need more than that. Obviously, if you have an Android or Apple iOS phone, you can use an app to do some of the settings. I think Android, I believe, has more features than iOS does currently, but let's hope they soon update this so we have the same capabilities on both operating systems. But yeah, this is a quick overview to the core. I think that's about it. One thing I can add here, you see these battery contacts. This one here and this one here, they're basically the same. They look the same. They don't have like a differentiating design to them. But you see here at the front, there's a plus sort of engraved in the plastic saying here goes your plus of the battery. So always make sure you put it in the right way, because these contacts don't tell you what's plus or minus. It's only the chassis telling you here. If your Saber ever has the problem of restarting, or like it seems like the power gets cut off or something, basically the Saber just starts again, makes the boot up sound. It could be that this battery that you put in here, this battery isn't perfectly making contact with these battery contacts. So one thing you can do is take a plier, go underneath this contact, go underneath the contact with a plier and just bend it up lightly. I usually prepare these so they have perfect contact, but it could maybe be that after a few years of fighting using this Saber for whatever, that the contacts get like loose and then it doesn't make perfect contact and your Saber starts behaving strangely. So that might be the issue why. I don't believe that's a problem really, but I'm just telling you. Yeah, let's put on the battery lid, put it into power. You can hear right now the core, the speaker doesn't sound very good. It's very underpowered, but don't worry, this is very normal. This is just how a speaker works when it's not enclosed in anything. It doesn't sound very nice, but don't worry, this is normal. If you put it into the Saber, this will change, and I can show you. So let's take this, put it in. And if you put it in, the easiest thing you can do is just literally check here that it aligns with the button. When you see it like this, you see the button perfectly down there. It's fine, you don't have to push anymore. You can just put the ignition on top, screw until it's secure. If you feel any resistance screwing this in, then make sure that the core is properly positioned, because it could be that it's slightly off. So just screw it out again, check where it is, put it back in. If you feel no resistance, you know you're good. And now this is how it sounds. Still kind of mid, nothing special. But once you start putting the pommel back on, I hope this is picked up on my microphone, but it's a lot deeper, lots more bass in the sound. And we have gesture controls pre-configured. If you don't appreciate how they're configured, set up, you can change that yourself. For some people, that might be too sensitive. If you do or use the Saber for like Saber flow purposes and you want it to be on, make sure you change it for sure, because you'll turn the Saber off every second turn. So just keep an eye out for that. And I think this is pretty much everything to get you started. At the back here, this is your retention screw. It's an M4, so just make sure you get the right key. Don't take one that is too small, otherwise you'll destroy the screw. Just take the properly sized one. The engagement length or depth here is, I think if I'm not mistaken, 67 millimeters in depth. So any blade you'll put in is pretty nicely secured. Quickly going to put a blade in. I hope my camera doesn't die. Let's see. Quickly taking it on the side here to put proper pressure onto the blade. So I press it down nicely onto the pogo pins. There we go. Fix it. Obviously this is very bright now, so you don't see much than just white-ish blue. But this is how you secure your blade. Pretty simple. Just use this M4 sized key and you're good to go. As I said before, you can unscrew this grip section, just never do this when your core is inside. This is also tightened very hard right now, so you would have to really force it to get it apart. This is intentional, so you don't do this on purpose. Basically, just always open it at the pommel where you see the nice knurling. Don't do it here. If you want to do modifications to this hilt, like weathering and whatnot, please go ahead, take it apart here. Makes it easier. And here it is. This is the almost completely bare aluminum version of the Scorpio. This is perfect for if you want to, for example, weather the hilt, or just anodize it in a different color, or do anything specifically, or if you just like it this way. Over the regular version, which is partially anodized in black, has some bare sections. This one is basically just bare. And the only thing that's anodized is this little switch box part here, which is black, and then the buttons, of course. Ignition has a red circle, and the auxiliary button is just red anodized. Otherwise, same hilt, same functionality. But I just thought to show you this as well. And currently on the website it's not available yet, but I'm going to put it up so you can select it on the website as you want the anodized regular version or you want the raw aluminum version. And we have very limited quantity on these, so I think we have around 10 units that are like this, and out of experience they are gone very quickly. Like, people love to snatch these up to just customize them themselves, versus these versions. They are obviously pretty, but they're a little bit harder to then customize because you might have to get rid of this the etching or the anodizing and so on, so that makes it harder. This is a lot easier for that kind of purpose, or just because you like it. Some people just like these kind of raw aluminum hilts. I like it a lot too, so I'm definitely be keeping one for myself. But I just wanted to quickly show you how that looks like. So here's the regular version, raw aluminum version. I think that's it for the moment. Yeah, here's your Scorpio, our dark side version. Here's the Vandari, our light side version. And yeah, I'm pretty happy how they turned out. I hope you like your new saber, and I see you in the next one.